Good evening. Welcome to the Pinole Planning Commission meeting on April 13th, 2026 at 7 p.m. This meeting is currently at the Pinole City Council chambers at 2131 Pear Street, and the public may submit public comments in person by attending the meeting at the Pinole City Council chambers, filling out a yellow public comment card and submitting it to city staff. The public may also comment via Zoom, remotely via the Zoom video conference platform. You can download the Zoom application or on your preferred web browser. And the webinar ID for that Zoom meeting is 865-0537-5301. You can also join by phone at 1-669-900-6833 or 1-253-215-8782 or 1-346-248-7799. Speakers will be asked to provide their name and city of residence, although providing this is not required for participation. Each speaker will be afforded up to 5 minutes to speak. Speakers will be muted until their opportunity to provide public comment. When the chair opens the comment period for the item that you would like to speak on, please use the raise hand feature or press *9 if connecting via telephone, which will alert staff that you have a comment that you would like to provide, and then press *6 to unmute. If you'd like to comment with your video enabled, please let the city staff know, and the camera may be turned on once you are called on to speak. Written comments can also be submitted to the planning staff before the meeting via email at dhannum@pinole.gov. Please include your full name, city of residence, and the agenda item that you are commenting on. There are other ways to watch this meeting live on channel 26, and they are re-telecast the following week. This meeting is also live streamed on the city's website at www.pinole.gov and will remain on the city's website archived for 5 years. If any of these options are available to you, or if you need any assistance with a public comment, please contact Planning Manager David Hannum at 510-724-8912 or dhannum@pinole.gov. In compliance with the Americans with Disability Act of 1990, if you need special assistance to participate in a city meeting, or if you need a copy of the agenda or the agenda packet in an appropriate alternative format, please contact the city clerk's office at 510-724-8928. Notification of at least 48 hours in advance of the meeting will assist city staff in ensuring that reasonable arrangements can be provided to the accessibility of the meeting and service. Staff reports are also available on the city's website for inspection. You may also contact the city clerk directly at hbell@pinole.gov. Citizen participation. Persons wishing to speak on an item listed on the agenda may do so when the chair asks for comments in favor or in opposition of the item under consideration. After all those persons wishing to speak have done so, the hearing will be closed and the matter will be discussed amongst the commission prior to rendering a decision. Any person may appeal the action of the planning commission or the planning manager by filing an appeal with the city clerk in writing within 10 days of such action. Following a public hearing, the planning commission may act to confirm, modify, or reverse the action of the planning manager. The cost to appeal decision is $500 and a minimum $2,500 deposit fee. Please note, if you challenge the decision of the commission regarding a project in court, you will be limited to raising only the issues you or someone else raised at the public hearing or in writing delivered to and or the city at Pinole or prior to this public hearing. In accordance with the Ralph M. Brown Act, Government Code 54950, in enacting this chapter, the legislature finds and declares that the public commissions, boards, and councils and other public agencies in the state exist in the aid of the conduct of the people's business. The intent of the law and their actions be taken openly, and that the deliberations be conducted openly. The people of the state do not yield their sovereignty to the agencies which serve them. The people, in delegating authority, do not give public servants the right to decide what is good for the people to know and what is not good for them to know. The people insist on remaining informed so that they may retain control over the instruments that they have created. With that, the meeting will be called to order at 7:04 p.m. All those willing and able, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And now for our land acknowledgement. Before we begin, we would like to acknowledge the Ohlone people, who are the traditional custodians of this land. We pay our respects to the Ohlone elders, past, present, and future, who call this place Ohlone land, the land that Pinole sits upon their home. We're proud to continue their tradition of coming together and growing as a community. We thank the Ohlone community for their stewardship and support, and we look forward to strengthening our ties as we continue our relationship of mutual respect and understanding. And with that, Planning Manager Hannum, could we please have a roll call?
Commissioner Uch,
Present.
Commissioner Huey,
Present.
Commissioner Lamb-Julian,
Present.
Commissioner Bender,
Present.
Commissioner Martinez,
Here.
Vice Chair Manis.
Here, noting for the record, usual ex parte communications with email list about tonight's meeting and other topics.
And Chair Sandoval.
Present.
Let the record show that we have a quorum for tonight's meeting and can take action on all the items on the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Planning Manager Hannum. And with that, we will move on to the meeting minutes. And we have the Planning Commission meeting minutes for March 23rd, 2026. Are there any concerns, questions on the minutes? Yes, Vice Chair Manis.
Chair, I think we ordinarily have citizens to be heard before the meeting minutes.
Oh, whoops. Yep, I skipped one. Sorry about that. Thank you for the correction. Our next item is citizens to be heard. The public may address the Planning Commission on items that are within its jurisdiction and not otherwise listed on the agenda. Plan commissioners may discuss the matter brought to their attention, but by state law, the Ralph M. Brown Act action must be deferred to a future meeting, and the time allowed is 5 minutes. Do we have any citizens to be heard?
Yes, Chair. There is one caller online with a hand raised, a caller with their phone number ending in 5748. When you're ready, please press *6 to unmute.
Please go ahead whenever you're ready. The time allowed is 5 minutes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Yes, my name's Anthony Vosbrink, longtime resident of Pinole, over 50 years, senior citizen, obviously. I had to bring up a few things that I wasn't able to bring up at all in the last city council meeting for different reasons, but they didn't allow me a breather to get in on their second citizens to be heard. And that was what I was hoping, that maybe the Planning Commission would adopt as either a discussion or agenda item for second citizen public comment section at the end of the evening, and maybe limit it to 3 minutes. I don't know, because not a lot of people can always zoom in or tune in at the commute hour or dinner hour of the evening. And then other things that are brought up during the throughout the meeting might lend interest to people having and wanting to voice an opinion or state something to the Planning Commission, if not the city of Pinole, with a second citizens comments section at the end of your meeting. Moving on from that, I would like to address some governance issues that I think the city of Pinole and the Public Works Department has seemed to drop either that or not place it as a priority. But they claim, the Public Works claim they did all these improvements to the dog park. Well, they hacked and jacked one old tree trunk off the small park, but they also hacked and jacked without any public comment a third of the tree in the large dog park, which was there for years, you know, like 20 years, and no one said anything until all of a sudden someone said they had to do a little housekeeping work in and around the city, and then they find more work for the Public Works Department to go out and chop down a big shady branch limb underneath near the seating area by the main gate that the dogs were using to climb on, children, and no one's ever reported any kind of injury or danger. And for that matter, I think they should have a statute that anytime the city wants to Joe Bingham wants to have somebody go out and spend half the day cutting down half a tree or a third of the tree. Anything over 25% of the tree shouldn't have been cut anyway. But they should bring in an outside arborist to consult on that issue. But the city doesn't seem to be wanting to think of our environment in that nature. Moving on from that, or on a related note, none of the drinking fountains work over there at the dog park, just like none of the drinking fountain or the single one fountain works continuously reported at the tennis courts, public tennis courts outside of the library. Only the contractor working on the library gets porta potties and water there, but the tennis patrons don't get any of that. They get their, they got their parking taken away and a lot of other things. And the city should at least let the city know, the public know, in conjunction with the county librarian, should put up a nice big poster sign, like the half a dozen or more signs the city and the construction crew company put up, but none of them lend to the fact what our money's being spent for with the county, with the renovation of the project, when the date is starting, when it's estimated to be closed, and what the tennis patrons can be rest assured that that court remained open, and or there are alternatives to parking. They put, after several people complained, they put up a little
You have 30 seconds remaining.
one by one sign over there says tennis court egress or in alleyway, and the city needs to do a better job rather than spending money on giant signs and lavish trips to Washington D.C. and Sacramento, and coming up with all these other ideas with multiple consultants, etc., and fix our potholes and the lights that are still out in and around the I-80 ingress and egresses.
Please wrap up your
Potholes
comment
all over there.
as
Half
the
of
time
them
is
are
run out.
related to Caltrans, and the other half are related to the city of Pinole.
Thank you so much for your comment. Do you have any other citizens to be heard?
There are no other comments at this time.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you for that. As for issues with Public Works, our suggestion would probably be reaching out to Public Works directly or reaching out to the City Council. If you're unable to contact them via their meeting, contact them directly, probably through email or in writing. Yes, Vice Chair Menace.
Yes, Mr. Vosbrink noted request for a second citizens to be heard period during our agenda packs. I remember that was brought up towards the end of our last meeting, and that Mr. Adams said he'd look into what will be required basically to make that happen. Do we have any information on that?
Yes, the code doesn't have a set really agenda, so you would set the agenda. I to be honest with you, I don't know if we really need a second public hearing. The reason why I say that is, one, our meetings start 2 hours later than the city council meetings do. So most people should have dinner by the time our meetings start. The other thing is, if we have more than a couple items, our second citizens to be heard would be about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. So I think it's difficult for our meetings to have that second ability for citizens to be heard, just because of the way our commission works, the way our times that we start, where that second citizens to be heard will land. So in terms of time of the meeting, and so but it's up to the commission. If the commission wants to add a second citizens to be heard, we can surely add that to the agenda for the next agenda. But staff is recommending that we only have one citizens to be heard, and because people can get to our meetings at night, we're not right at the dinner hour. We're 2 hours usually after the dinner hour or so, and our meetings run fairly long if we have more than one or two items. So that second, I don't know if people will be up on the second citizens to be heard, but we will do what the commission requests and move forward from there. But there is nothing in the code that stipulates that it has to goes through another process.
And then the second thing was, he mentioned something about requirement of an independent arborist inspection for major tree trims, like over 25% of a significant tree. Do you happen to know offhand whether the municipal code requires an independent inspection, or is that just Public Works can basically sign off on its own work?
Well, Joe Bingaman is a certified arborist, so we do have a certified arborist on staff, so it was probably a decision made by him as part of his ability to do that. In most cases, when it's private property, we require an arborist report from a quote a third party, but not on our own. We use, because since Joe is an arborist, we use his opinion on that.
And then finally, questions about the drinking fountains. Would those also go to Public Works, or would they go to a different
Those would all
department?
go to Public Works. All those questions, anything regarding the dog park, anything regarding the ingress and egress of the library, the drinking fountains, those are all Public Works issues that need to be. And I've been told that if there anybody who wants to has a complaint, that they can email Joe directly at jbingaman@pinole.gov, and or our Public Works Director, Heba Elgaini, to do sorry, to make complaints or to add issues that need to be addressed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Minnis. And with that, we will move on to our meeting minutes, the meeting minutes for March 23rd, 2026. Are there any questions or concerns on the meeting minutes for the March 23rd meeting? With that, I will make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for March 23rd.
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Martinez. And Plan Manager Hannum, could we please have a roll call?
Commissioner Rich,
Yes.
Commissioner Huey,
Yes.
Commissioner Lamb-Julian,
Yes.
Commissioner Bender,
Yes.
Commissioner Martinez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Minnis,
Yes.
Chair Sandoval.
Yes.
Motion carried 7-0.
Thank you. And with that, we'll move to our public hearing. At the beginning of the item, the chair will read the description of that item as stated on the agenda. The city staff will then give a brief presentation of the proposed project. The commission may then ask staff questions about the item. For those items listed as public hearings, the chair will open the public hearing and ask the applicant if they would wish to make a presentation. Those persons in favor of the project will then be given an opportunity to speak, followed by those who are opposed to the project. The applicant will then be given an opportunity for a rebuttal. The public hearing will then be closed and the commission may discuss amongst themselves and ask questions of staff. The commission will then vote to approve, deny, or approve in a modified form or continue the matter to a later date for a decision. The chair will announce the commission's decision and advise the audience of the appeal procedure. Please note that no public hearings will begin after 11 p.m. and items remaining on the agenda after 11 p.m. will be held over to the next meeting. And it looks like we have one item today, UP 25-0007, the Queen Relaxation and Body Works, 1660 San Pablo Avenue. Planning Manager Hannum, do you have a presentation or a staff report for us?
Yes, thank you very much. Dave, hopefully you got my PowerPoint. If you can add that up, please. Yes, just to give you some background, Victoria Lee, who's our applicant, is seeking approval of a conditional use permit to establish a massage therapy business within a tenant space in the existing building located at 1660 San Pablo Avenue, Suite C. Pursuant to Table 17.1060-1 of the Pinole Municipal Code, the Planning Commission has the authority to review and approve the request for a conditional use permit. Just over the years, the building located at 1660 San Pablo Avenue has had several personal service uses. Some of those businesses include offices, wellness centers, doctors' offices, accounting offices, and chiropractic services. If I can go to the next slide, Dave. So this is just kind of some brief statistics regarding the site. It's, of course, located at 1660 San Pablo. The parcel size is about almost an acre, or 0.75 acres, and 32,670 square feet. The surrounding uses, we have existing residential to the north, and to the south, east, and west, we have existing commercial or office commercial around it. So it's surrounded mostly by commercial development. These are uses that under the current requirement for the three. If you go to the next slide, Dave. So the general plan designation for this project is mixed-use sub-area. If you go to the next slide, Dave, I'll go through these fairly fast. And then our specific land use and zoning, the land use is mixed-use sub-area with a zoning of CMU, commercial mixed use. Go to the next slide. I think that's the last one. Okay, so we'll continue on with the presentation of the staff report. Under the current requirements within the 3-corridor specific plan, personal services restricted uses require a conditional use permit. These uses are reviewed and approved by the Planning Commission pursuant to the Pinole Municipal Code under 17.12140. The proposed use request under this conditional use permit is located within an existing building and occupies approximately 1,500 square feet of vacant tenant space. Past uses of this tenant space have included professional office uses. There are a couple of massage therapy establishments in the city. Use Massage Therapy Center is approximately 2 miles west. The Renew Spa and Acne Clinic is approximately 1.5 miles to the east of the site. The project, in terms of the review and analysis, of course, as stated already, the project site is designated as a mixed-use sub-area in our general plan. And according to the general plan, the mixed-use service area allows all types of commercials and residential uses as either a single use or in combination with other allowable commercial and residential uses. The designation aims to encourage ground floor pedestrian-friendly retail and service uses with upper floors dedicated to office and residential uses. Commercial activity can include a variety of retail options from neighborhood convenience stores and community shopping centers, as well as from community shopping centers to regionally oriented specialty stores and offices, including administrative, professional, medical, and dental offices. The proposed new massage therapy business would occupy a tenant space within an existing commercial. And staff use goals land use point 7, LU point 7, balanced housing and employment opportunities. Use policy 7.1. Provides sufficient land for commercial and industrial uses to allow development that provides basic goods and services. Use the community character goals 3, support the development and retention of locally oriented businesses in Old Town, Pinole, and other commercial areas, and encourage the support of local economy, as well as policy CC 3.2, support locally owned businesses with the goal of promoting a strong business base, encouraging joint marketing and improving the city's business climate, as well as encouraging residents and employees to obtain their goods and service locally. Again, as stated above, the site has a commercial mixed-use zoning designation, which is intended for vibrant commercial and mixed-use development. Massage therapy businesses fall under the specific plan land use classification of personal services restricted. And this use is allowed within a CMU zone district in the San Pablo Avenue MUSA with the approval of conditional use permit. The MUSA emphasis within the San Pablo Avenue corridor, as envisioned in the specific plan, is to create a bridge between the Old Town Pinole and the service sub-area. Per the description of the mixed-use sub-area along the San Pablo, a varied mix of uses, low-density residential, multifamily, professional office, and service commercial will play a vital role in fulfilling this vision. In terms of the zoning, the property is located within the CMU as part of the specific plan. However, the proposed use is classified as a massage therapy establishment as defined in section 17.66 and 8.32 of the Pinole Municipal Code. 17.7 Municipal Code Section 17.66 requires that massage therapy establishments meet special standards, including that all personnel are registered with appropriate professional organization, and that the owner maintains a register of all employees and their current certification numbers. The requirement for the proposed business would be consistent within the definition for massage therapy establishment under 17.22 of the PMC, which defines the use as a state-certified massage establishment where each owner and each employee that provide massage is certified massage practitioner, which Ms. Lee has submitted her massage therapist license. She is currently licensed by the state of California as a massage therapist. Section 8.32 of the Pinole Municipal Code also requires that all massage therapy establishments have an operator permit and/or registration certificate. Regulations require an operator permit require those. The Queen Relaxation and Body Works has turned all the information required to obtain the operator's registration and the operator's PERT and certificates. They actually were issued one, however, they were issued with the wrong name. They are correct. The police department is correcting that, and hopefully she will be getting her new certificates with the with her name on them. Again, as stated below, under the 3-corridor specific plan CMU, district allows for personal services restricted uses with approval of a conditional use permit. The use classification is defined as personal service establishments, i.e. check cashing, fortune teller, psychic, palm readers, and similar services that tending to have a blighting and or deteriorating effect upon the surrounding area and which may need to be dispersed to minimize their adverse impact. These uses may also include accessory retail sales of products related to services provided. The applicant is proposing proposing changes to the existing space and will require building permits for tenant improvements. At this time, the applicant will submit plans and follow standard building permit application submittal and review processes for making any needed tenant improvements. A floor plan is attached as part of this project. I included a floor plan. This would be the new floor plan as constructed when all the construction stuff is done. So it's not just your average massage therapy place. I mean, it's more of a wellness center. It had treatment rooms, it's got saunas, it's got, showers for men and women. I mean, this is beyond what we would know as a massage therapy place. And I think, with the size of the building, she's got a lot of treatment rooms. Right now, it just will be herself. As the main employee, but as employees come on, they will have to get operator permits as well with the city. So basically, as part of the planning commission is required to make findings for the conditional use permit. Staff has outlined those findings, and staff has commented on those findings and how the business complies. I can go through all of those, or you can ask questions of those, but I'll just state the findings, what they are. The findings that they are needed to be met are: A, the proposed use is consistent with the general plan and any applicable specific plans and or applicable provisions of this title. B, the establishment, maintenance, or operation of the use applied for will not, under the circumstances of the particular case, meaning location, size, design, and operating characteristics, be detrimental to the health, safety, peace, morals, comfort, or general welfare of persons residing or working in the neighborhood of such use to the general welfare of the city. Finding C is the site of the proposed use is physically suitable for the type, density, and intensity of the use and related structures being proposed. And D, it will not be contrary to the specific intent clauses, development regulations, or performance standards established for the zoning district in which it is located. The proposed use and related structures are compatible with other land uses, transportation, and service facilities within this facility. So staff has outlined each finding with a response that these characters, the use is consistent with the existing uses. For finding A, staff has considered that the applicant has submitted all the necessary information needed for this application. The use is consistent with the existing uses on site and compatible with the commercial character intended for the commercial mixed-use designation of the property. B, staff, the use is proposing a tranquil atmosphere for relaxation and wellness with skilled practitioners providing personalized treatments to relieve tension and promote overall well-being. Services include deep tissue massage, which focuses on relieving muscle tensions, and Swedish massages, which aim to relax the entire body and improve circulation. What I didn't add, and I should add on that, they also have sauna services as well. So if somebody would like just to kick back in the sauna, they have the ability to do that as well. The site of the proposed use is physically suitable for the site. Since the tennis spade is in an existing building, all of the improvements are within the existing suite, meaning they're not taking over suites A, B, and C. It's in the existing suite, but they're just redesigning the space for her use, which is consistent with the finding. And D, the proposal does not include adding any new structure to the property. As mentioned earlier, the applicant is proposing tenant upgrades to an existing suite within the building. So with that, this use is compatible with all the other uses, transportation and service activities nearby. The project is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act pursuant to section 15303, as well as 15301, which is existing facilities. Because it consists of locating a new commercial use within an existing commercial tenant space and involves negligible to minor modifications to the exterior of the structure and including no increases to the floor area. With that, staff is recommending that the Planning Commission adopt resolution 2605, approving a conditional use permit for Queen Relaxation and Bodyworks located at 1660 San Pablo Avenue with the conditions of approval that are attached. So with that, that ends my presentation. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those questions. The applicant is here tonight, so if you want to ask questions of the applicant, we can do that as well. So thank you, Mr. Chair. That's all I have.
Thank you, Planning Manager Howdam, for your report. And now we will move on to questions to staff from the commission. I'll start to my left with Commissioner Martinez. Did you have any questions?
I do. Dave, and city staff, let me find it. There was... Okay, I'll just go with what I have on my side. Roughly about a year and a half ago, we approved the conditional use permit for Moon Massage, which is directly across from it at 1685 San Pablo Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
And then about a block and a half away at 1773 San Pablo Avenue is Renewey Day Spa.
Mm-hmm.
And then 3 blocks away is Harmony Day Spa, which is the one I use most of the time, at 1960 San Pablo Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
And then on Appian, about right across the street also from the proposed project at 759 Appian Way is Jamila's Spa. So in the report that we received, the spas that were referenced were 1 mile or 2 miles away, but within that little short 3-block area,
Right.
I'm seeing there's a ton of spas going in there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just something we need to be conscious of, please.
Okay.
That would, so if we can, update the records with that would be one question. And then secondly, one other question I have, Dave, is this going to be on an upper floor or the lower floor of the building? Do we know?
I want to say it's on the upper floor. Or no, it's on the lower floor. It's lower floor. Yeah.
Okay. I was just a little concerned that if spa and piping was going above maybe an office,
No.
we need to make sure that we have the correct insurances so that if there was a water leak and took out an office underneath it, that we address that.
Right.
But since it's on the ground floor,
Yes.
no
Okay.
concern there. Those are the only concerns I have or questions for staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Martinez. Commissioner Lamb-Gillian, any questions to staff?
Just to echo what Commissioner Martinez is stating with the other establishments as well, to be able to compare the services that are offered there, to have that included in the report as well, if that's possible. Thank you. I'm complete.
Thank you. And Commissioner Huey.
No questions for staff.
Thank you. Commissioner Bender.
No questions for staff.
Commissioner Uch.
My one question is on page 17, under conditions approval. We talked about how the address is located at 1660 San Pablo Avenue.
Right.
Yeah, and the first condition says 1685 San Pablo Avenue.
We will change that to 1660.
Got it.
Which page is that?
Page 17 of 21. It's the very first condition stating the address.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And that's all my questions to staff. Thank you.
Good catch, Commissioner Uch. Vice Chair Menace.
So I guess my question for staff is, going back to Commissioner Martinez's question about basically how nearby similar establishments were identified. Can staff expand a bit on how exactly it determined that basically the 3 relevant massage therapy establishments were Use Massage, Renew Spa, and Acne Clinic, and those were basically the only 2 other ones, given that Commissioner Martinez seems to be aware of several others that might also qualify.
Well, with the Moon Massage and with the other massage, they don't have the same type of, they don't do the same type of massage treatments that the body relaxation, the Queen Relaxation Service is doing. They don't provide sauna treatments. They don't have like showers for their patrons to go. So it's a little more, I think it's a little more in depth than what the other services, the other companies are providing in terms of their services. In terms of the Moon Massage, they have 1 massage room, and it's and they just do various massages in there, and the residents leave. In most cases, this massage place is offering different services than what the others are serving in terms of the types of massages that are given. I don't think they're all the other. I mean, I know there's a lot of different massages throughout the Swedish massage and the deep tissue and all the other types of things. None of the others, at least that I know of, at least at this point, in looking at when I scan the other services of the other that they were providing this type of massage service, as well as again adding the sauna and the shower treatments, or the sauna and then the ability to shower at the facility. So. And also most of the places are 1-room facilities, maybe 2, where this is more of a what I would call a facility in terms of she wants to expand into more than 1 or 2 treatment, on the floor plan. This is all within 1 building or 1 suite in terms of the number of, treatment rooms. So, I mean, this is something, that's the other thing that the other services the other companies don't provide, is in a way to expand their services within their existing structures. They don't have the space to do that. So with the ability of this, the sauna treatments, the Swedish massage, and the deep tissue, again, it was just different services that were provided by this business that the other businesses didn't provide. So.
And that leads to a second set of questions, which may be for staff or maybe more for the applicant. Looking at the floor plan, I know that it seems like there's 1 entrance to the break room, which is right off of the utility room. Mm-hmm. If there's a fire in the utility room, how would any employees of the break room be able to exit the building?
I don't know if there's a window there. That's something that fire and building will figure out when they redo the building. So there might be some changes to this based on when she submits her formal plans on how they would exit the building on that. Because I'm sure fire would catch of how they would be removed from the building.
All right, and then the second thing is, I note that there's 1 thing where it just says potential spot, and I'm guessing that's just referring to where the sauna could potentially be rather than some other parking spot or something like that.
Yes, I mean, everything's in the building. Yeah, it's just a potential spot. Yeah, there's, she's got a couple of spots where she could put that sauna. This doesn't affect any parking or anything. That was just my drawing onto the thing that says that's a potential spot of the sauna. So it doesn't affect anything on the outside.
Okay, and then finally, most of the rooms seem to have basically doorways sort of indicated by erased segments of the walls, but the sauna and the men's restrooms seem to be blocked off. Would it be correct to assume that basically entry would be through the vertical line of the triangle between the various treatment rooms and then from the sauna into the men's restroom?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And then finally, with regards to the use classification tending to have a blighting or deteriorating effect on surrounding areas, how is a blighting effect determined? This seems like a sort of subjective analysis.
Yeah, that was a subjective analysis that was done when the general plan and specific plan were put together as part of the general plan and the zoning ordinance. So there was really no, in a lot of cases, the uses that were restricted in terms of the check cashing place. There was an assumption there made of what those businesses were, and a subjectiveness that was included as part of the putting into the code. So, which we've kind of, the city's been fortunate. I mean, just to let you know that the police department does yearly checks on these places. They're random. They go in there randomly just to make sure everybody's playing by the same rules. So in terms of what the definition in the zoning code is, the city takes an active approach to make sure that these establishments are not blighting on the community, and that everybody is playing by the same rules, and making sure they all have their certifications and they're up to date and all that. So, that was just a definition that was put in the zoning code as part of the update back then.
Okay, and then it says may need to be dispersed to minimize adverse impacts. How far, or I guess what's the maximum concentration that staff would ordinarily recommend is acceptable for these?
Well, it all depends. I mean, sometimes you can have them all in one center. I mean, just different, they provide different services, or when I saw that, I wasn't, there really isn't a number that you should have one, every 2,000 feet or every 100 feet or every 1,500 feet. But they're to be honest, they're kind of like, and this sounds kind of strange, but it's kind of like fast food. All the fast food like to go together because they figure they can get a piece of the car that goes in there. Sometimes businesses like to be in general areas of the same, because then they get a chance to, well, I'm going to go to this place, I'm going to go to that place, I'm going to go to this place. So I don't know if there's really a standard. There's not a standard set in our code. Other codes I've worked with have never set standards of how many you should have within a certain area. I mean, it's not like a cannabis or a liquor store or anything of that nature. So it just needs to make sure, we just need to make sure that the business is following all the rules and making sure that they're all certificated and that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. So
That's all my questions for staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Menace. And I did have a couple questions, just kind of building off some stuff that had already been asked. Was there a particular reason that the massage was listed as something that would require a CUP? Kind of where did that determination come from? Or was it just kind of like when that blight ordinance or blight zoning code was kind of...
In most cases, when you had, the reason why, based on, I can only assume what they were thinking back in 2010, but the reason why is because normally when they require additional permits, like from police, or they need additional stuff from Parks and or through public health or whatever, normally the city would then require a conditional use permit to make sure that they maintain all of that. And in these cases, in terms of restricted uses, I mean, even if they're not restricted use, even if they're CUP, just require a CUP. In a lot of cases, it's just because you just need a little more added terms of certification, a little bit stricter in terms of conditions, a little more to make sure that the business runs smoothly within the city. So there really isn't. So in this case, in terms of personal restricted, the personal services restricted is they wanted to differentiate personal services. So that's why they included the restricted. So they added more responses to the massage therapy. Now, massage establishments, a lot of thinking could have been that these are the massage establishments of the 1950s and 60s, right? Where a lot of things were going on in those places that shouldn't have been. But now, I mean, a lot more of them. Not to say that's not out there, but it's a little cleaned. It's a little more cleaned up and a little more. With the advent of a lot of athletes use massage therapy now to get their things. A lot of people with bodily injuries, or massage therapy is becoming more of an athletic, more of a occupational therapy type. Not just occupational therapy, but more of just a body wellness. And so, but because of the certifications that they need, as well as the additional certifications that we need as part of the PD, that's why we also added the conditional use permit for massage therapies per se.
Yeah, thank you. That's helpful. And then another question I had was if there was an issue with the floor plan, would it come back to Planning Commission or just?
No, it wouldn't come back, only because it's in an existing suite. Now, if they were to, let's say, expand into additional suites, or they were to go, upstairs, downstairs, down the hall, then we would probably come back to you just to let you know that they're moving in and, into different areas. But because all of the improvements that are being done are within an existing suite, and it can be done with tenant improvements, then it doesn't need to come back.
Thank you. That answers that. Any other questions? No? And with that, we will open up the public hearing if the applicant would like to make a presentation.
Yeah, so you can go to the podium, and I'm sure they're going to want to ask you some questions and just kind of stay who you are and talk about your business a little bit.
Hi, my name is Victoria. I am the owner of the Queen Relaxation. I'm sorry. That's 1660 San Pablo Avenue. And I'm really happy to be here with you all.
Okay. Are there any additional comments? Did you want to speak a little bit about the business, or you don't have to, but just wanted to give you the opportunity to speak.
I feel like David has already spoke to our.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. And that let's move to comments in support. And then we have Scott Maskell.
Good evening. I manage the Pinole Office Center where this space is located, and we had discussed this with the other tenants that exist in the building, and very positive response from all of them. Java Health, which is directly next door, serves, it's a diabetes clinic mostly, but just generally elderly people that aren't well, that this could really help, and it's right there. And also there's a beauty salon above that caters to the mostly elderly, top floor salon, and I think it would be great for them. They've been asking about it. They come in and they'll pay their rent, and they're going, when is this gonna open up? So, and we don't, if you drive down San Pablo Avenue and you're talking about the place that's directly across the way, small little parking lot, I don't know what their facilities are, but they don't seem to do, they're not crowded and overworked. We have 41 parking spaces, and right now there's probably always a dozen available. So there's gonna be plenty of parking, and we're not facing the street. We're in the back, kind of hidden away. You gotta read the signs and know where it is. And partially because of this new business, but basically just for the safety and concern of our tenants, we've just put in a 16 camera surveillance system. So we're trying to do our part to make things better for our new tenant. So I think it's a benefit for the area, for the existing businesses, and I hope that you'll approve for conditional use. Thank you. Any questions? No?
Sure. Commissioner Martinez.
So years ago, I did use the building. There was an insurance agent there that I would frequent. But I just remember in the evenings, it did seem a little bit dark.
Mm-hmm.
Have we added new?
Yes, we have. We've
lights?
upgraded the lighting to LED.
Excellent.
I am a real estate broker, and I have a maintenance crew that we do mostly property management. So we've kept on that and made sure that the lights were upgraded, and that's throughout the building. So it's pretty bright back there now.
Okay. And then the second question I had was, back in the day, there weren't very many trash cans, and so there was.
We've put 2 concrete trash cans, like about that size.
Okay.
And we maintain those. at least a couple times a week. So, yeah, it was an issue when I took over managing that building. There were a lot of things that needed attention and improvement.
Okay.
We've had to go to war with the pigeons a couple of times, and it seems like it's always something.
Thank you for the extra details. I appreciate it.
Anything else? No.
Yes, Commissioner Lamb-Julian.
Hi there. I am very glad to hear that you have installed the 16 camera surveillance system and improvements to the lights. I know that some tenants had a situation at the top floor at the salon when Donna wasn't there. That with Kelly, she had a situation where people robbed her, and just wondering if any other instances have come up, and then just what would the plan would be?
I think what you're talking about is those two women that were dressed kind of like in scrubs, and yeah, they took advantage of her. It's something that we see in open houses sometimes. You know, the family will come in and they'll all go into different directions, and that's what they're doing, is trying to find a weak point where they can snag something. I don't think any loss was incurred. I think that she reported it stolen right away. So I don't believe that the woman had a loss herself. Maybe her credit card company did.
Okay. And then just following up, in the case of just with the spas, you are in a vulnerable situation of just looking at extra security or just something for the tenants. If they noticed any action, just besides calling the police, if they've noticed questionable folks or just an uncomfortable feeling?
Not really. The cameras are going to be recorded constantly, and they do have like infrared, so they're going to work in the dark. But we cover the front of the building on San Pablo Avenue has got surveillance now, and detailed in the parking lot. Other than minor issues with homeless people, that's basically about it. And we kind of curtailed that a little bit by reprogramming the elevators so they don't work. It's homeless when it's really cold. You know, I've been managing it since 2015, so we've had a few incidences where people were passed out in the elevator. But that wouldn't have anything to do with her. She's on the ground floor. And we haven't had any instances. It's been about 2 years since we changed the programming, maybe 3 years, and nothing since. It's never been any problems.
Okay. No, great to hear, because I do know that the entrance is going to be on that back side, which is less visibility. And just thinking of the customers that are older, and just you are kind of out of sight, almost out of mind, just thinking about that.
I would hope not. And anytime we've had any little thing, there's been this year a couple of times where cars were broken down and left in our parking lot. And you dial 741-1111 and bam, they're there. 2-3 minutes. It's nice.
Okay, thank you. I'm complete, Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes, Vice Chair Menace.
Yes, so following up on Commissioner Lamb-Julian's questions, you mentioned basically you've got cameras running 24/7. How long a retention period do you have for the camera data?
I think it's 5 terabytes is the machine we've got, and between 25 and 30 days.
Okay.
That should be sufficient, I think.
And you said that you'd reprogrammed the elevators so it wasn't an issue, but the elevators are still accessible to, the tenants and customers who need to use it for ADA purposes?
For normal business hours. I think we shut it. It goes off at 10 p.m. and doesn't come back on until 7.
Okay, just wanted to clear up those points. Thank you.
Sure.
Yes, Commissioner Martinez.
And again, I'm so glad that you came down tonight. When looking at the building, it is showing a little bit of wear and tear. Are we on a cycle to get that building rehabbed in terms of the exterior paint and so on and so forth?
Yeah, the exterior was painted about 2 years ago, $28,000,
Okay.
and it was complete. It was looking shabby. The parking lot needs work. We've had contractors come in. When the weather gets better, we're gonna be taking out probably at least a few hundred square feet of concrete driveway that's failed, and we'll be repaving it.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the commission? All right. Do we have any other public comments on this item?
Yes, I do see one hand raised online from the caller with phone number ending in 5748. So when you're ready, please press *6 to unmute.
Oh, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead whenever you're ready.
Oh, yeah, my name's Anthony Fosbrink, longtime senior citizen of Pinole. Is this the same building property that one-time occupant, owner / landlord, I believe his name was Scott Lee or something to that effect, Asian ophthalmologist who moved down by the Kaiser building? Is that still his property, and is he still basically overall responsible for maintaining and or upgrading that property to something more acceptable in the compatibility with the other office complex property across the alleyway or street there where the medical buildings, Jiva Health, my doctor's in there, and a few other businesses, but you know, it's almost like night and day in terms of the exterior of the buildings and so on. And I think we should require more of the owner, landlord, if not the tenant, to do some upgrades on that. So it just doesn't, you know, fall into more disrepair. And then also, that being said, with the type of business operation it is, echoing Commissioner Martinez's comments, I don't know, maybe we should look at, you know, how many basic massage parlors do we need in and around a half-a-mile corridor, or maybe 3/4-mile corridor if you take used massage and the other ones at the other end of town, how they are situated. West County doesn't need to be known other than, you know, the fast food capital of the world, now the massage parlor of the world, specifically Old Town Pinole, where it's going to be a destination for some people other than people that really need the services. And in talking to a few other businesses, and the landlord there just admitted to it, you know, the massage parlors we have already in abundance, they're not doing too well post-COVID, etc. Even the one my daughter uses once in a while, if not myself, use salon down by Fernandez Park in that strip mall there. They're not doing well. So what do? They have to extend their hours or cut back labor, and they've also raised their rates. So I don't know if the other businesses that we've granted would appreciate a business like that coming into the area, but it's just food for thought, and some things, different things we should look at, you know, and maybe a fresh coat of paint would help, but sometimes that covers up a lot of underlying issues that maybe we don't know about. And is this business been checked with D&B? What's the lady's past history in running and operating masseuse spas, salons, whatever you want to call it? And are we just looking for, you know, a quick tenant to go in there so we can get tax revenues? And that being said, were there any other opportunities in the past years that we passed up on that wanted to move in there, but they didn't seem to really pass the mustard. I don't know. Maybe we're, but since it's only a partial move-in type of thing or tenant, what is that going to take? They're going to take up 50%, 25% of that property building. And I went to Scott Lee's office there upstairs on the second floor once, and I remember distinctly there's a real dark alleyway stairwell in there that is really scary. And I don't know if they gate it up and lock it up during the night and have security cameras there, but I think that should be addressed too, if that's the same property and building there. But that being said, you'll do your due diligence. And is that business subject to a review every year or so? Like you subject
Please
other
wrap up your comment
businesses,
as your time is up.
new businesses too? Don't cut me off. You let me finish my sentence.
Unfortunately, your time is up on that, and thank you for providing the comment. Do we have any other comments on this item? Yes. Yeah, if you would like to respond, sure.
Dr. O'Connor.
On the microphone, please.
Sorry. Dr. O'Connor and his wife, Dr. Patricia O'Connor, have worked there for many years, and they own the building. And they've recently retired in December, and they sold their practice to Java Health. And I don't know of any stairways that are dark, maybe because we've improved the lighting.
No, and I think Dr. Lee's building was a little bit farther down San Pablo. I don't think he was in 1660 San Pablo. He was a little bit farther down. He was, I think, in the 1300 block or somewhere down there.
We did turn down other applicants that wanted to be there because we don't compete against our people in our own building, so couldn't be any type of a hair salon. We already have 2 of those of different variety, and there were people that didn't meet the mustard as far as qualifications that we wouldn't do business with, and so I run my management company, and it works. You know, you don't have a 700 FICO or better, and you don't have provable income, then keep stepping.
Any other additional comments?
No additional comments.
Thank you. Any other questions from the commission? Yes, Vice Chair Menace.
So one of the points that Mr. Vosberg made was about basically competition effects. Are we allowed to consider that, or is that sort of outside of the field of what we can consider with regards to this application?
In terms of what? In terms of?
Basically, one of the topics he was discussing was, other parlors aren't doing so well. They've got limited business. So, there were sort of 2 parts to that question. First, is this actually to be able to do well enough to be a viable business? And second, what's the impact going to be on other businesses in the region that have basically competitive overlap?
Yeah, that's not an item for the commission. We don't get involved in the economics of the viability of the areas. That's up for the businesses to decide whether or not that their business can be viable within a certain area. It's our job to make sure that the land use and zoning is compatible with that particular use. So we kind of stay out of that. We stay out of that realm in most cases. So let me just add one thing. If the council and the commission decided that the only way we would get involved in that is from a land use issue. So if we decided that we can only have one parlor within 300 feet of each other, that's how we would get involved in it. Not from an economic development standpoint. It'd be a land use standpoint.
Vice Chair Menace, did you have anything else, or go ahead to close the public hearing?
Yeah, I guess I would say it maybe ties in a bit to goal CC3 and policy C3.2, support development and retention of locally oriented services, encourage and support the local economy, support locally owned businesses with goals of promoting strong business base, joint marketing, improving the city's business climate, that sort of thing. thought there might be some overlaps there.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing, and now we will move on to final closing. Oh, did you have a question or comment, or? Okay, yes, sorry, Commissioner Martinez.
Thank you, Chair. Dave, on the signage for that particular building, if I remember right, on San Pablo Avenue, there's little placards that list all the businesses in there, correct? So I want to confirm and not just make the assumption that there'll be just another placard on that list of the business.
Yeah, I mean, they have a master site plan, so we would, when they submit their signage, we'll make sure that their signage meets the requirement of the sign code. So,
Okay. And then just to ensure that we're not going to have any additional neon lighting for this business?
You don't want neon lighting?
No.
Well, I don't think neon lighting is allowed within the zone area. So, but again, we will take when they submit their sign code, when their signs, we put it up against the code and
Okay.
make sure it meets the 17.52 sign chapter.
Okay, thank you kindly.
Mm-hmm.
That was it.
Yes, Vice Chair Menace.
Yes, and before we close out the public hearing, I guess I figure I'd probably expand on why basically the restricted use thing, based on what I recall for the last time massage therapy establishment came before the commission a few years back. Basically, if I'm recalling the interpretation correctly, the city wants to prevent the de facto establishment of a red light district in the city of Pinole. And that's why, there's the requirements to check and make sure that the therapists are qualified, they have the necessary permits, and so on and so forth. But I think that's why it's flagged as tending to have a blighting or deteriorating effect, because if there weren't those checks and conditions in there, I think that's why basically it falls under that particular restricted use, just for the commission's information.
Thank you. And with that, we'll be going ahead and closing the public hearing. And any other closing questions or comments from the commission? Nope. Yes, Commissioner Lam-Julian.
Just a closing comment. I do know that with respect to Commissioner Martinez's pointing out the other massage establishments in Pinole, there has been deep conversation about a more robust offering, noting deep tissue and a sauna option, which I do know there are several community members. They will drive to El Sobrante, El Cerrito in Richmond to seek out these services. And I think this would be a really robust offering to keep businesses in Pinole and to add an added service to our residents that is not currently offered, would be my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments before a motion? All right. And with that, I will make a motion to approve language right. Approving Planning Commission Resolution 2526-05 with Exhibit A, condition approval, resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Pinole, County of Contra Costa, State of California, approving a conditional use permit, CUP 23-1 for a wellness center and massage therapy establishment, Queen Relaxation and Bodyworks, located at 1660 San Pablo Avenue, APN 401-350-059, with a correction to the first whereas, and so it may read 1660 instead of 1685.
I'll second.
Thank you for the second. We have a motion and a second. Planning Manager Hannum, if we could please have a roll call.
Commissioner Utsch.
Yes.
Commissioner Huey.
Yes.
Commissioner Lam-Julian.
Yes.
Commissioner Bender.
Yes.
Commissioner Martinez.
Yes.
Vice Chair Menace.
Yes.
Chair Sandoval.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
The item passes through, and just as a reminder, the appeal information, if the decision of the commission is challenged in court, any member of the public would only be limited to raising those issues that someone has raised here at the public hearing or in writing delivered to the City of Pinole prior to the hearing. Yes, Vice Chair Menace.
Yes, I think it might also be worthwhile to read through the full paragraph prior to that, because I think some of that maybe got missed of the initial read over earlier this evening.
Sure. Sure, I can go through it. Yes. Any person may appeal the action of the planning commission or the planning manager by filing an appeal with the city clerk in writing within 10 days of action. Following a public hearing, the city council may act to confer, modify, reverse the action of the planning commissioner, and the planning commission may act to modify, reverse the planning action of the planning manager. The cost of appeal is $500 and the minimum $2,500 deposit fee. That section. All right, thank you, Vice Chair Menace. And with that, we will move on to old business, which we have none, and we do not have any new business on tonight. And that will move us to the city planner's report. And Planning Manager Hannum, is there anything you would like to report out?
At this point, no, I don't have a whole lot. However, if the commission, because of the communication we had earlier, that the commission wants to put on the agenda to discuss the item of adding a second public hearing or public comment period, we can put that on the agenda if that's something that the motion of the commission wants to do. And then we can put together a staff report and go over everything we need to do for that item. Other than that, that's all I have right now. I mean, all of our projects are moving forward. So yeah, unless you have any specific questions regarding any projects, I don't have anything. Justin, do you have anything? No? Okay.
Yes, Vice Chair Menace.
Yes, so I support bringing back basically as a future agenda item, having a second citizens to be heard under the same rules as the council does. Basically, you can comment either in the first one or the second one, so that'll avoid double dipping and limit, most of the time excessive going on for any one particular time period. I do think it would be worthwhile to have one at the end of the meeting, because even starting as late as 7 p.m., there are sometimes people who aren't able to make it at that particular time. So I think it would be beneficial. I don't think it will be used very often, but when it is used, I think it would benefit the commission to be able to hear from the public under the various topics under citizens to be heard.
Yes, Commissioner Huey.
I would also support having the discussion around this. Maybe we scale back on the time from 5 minutes to 3 minutes, but I do think that people have very flexible schedules, even though we do start at a later time. There was a time when I wasn't made available until after 8 p.m., so I do want to provide that opportunity to any members of the public who wish to speak. Thank you.
Planning Manager Hannum, I did kind of have a little bit of a clarifying question. If this were to go through, and would a member of the public only be allowed to comment once on either at the beginning or the end, or would someone be able to comment on both citizens to be heard?
That would be up to as part of the decision from the commission. So that would be a point that we would bring up as part of the rules of using the citizens to be heard. So yeah, that's all at the opinion of the commission. So if they want to hear the comment twice, they can. If they don't want to, they've only heard, want to hear it one time, that's fine too. So we'll include that as part of the discussion. I will say this though, if we do add it, we will not be because it's on the agenda. Even if it goes past 11 o'clock or whatever, you'll have to itemize that. You'll have to continue the meeting for that. Just know that right now going in, if we go later, because that's something that's the citizens to be heard. That's a whole, that's a discretion, we can't, if we're going to allow that to happen, we can't cut it out. We can discuss the time, because we can discuss the time limit, since now there's 2. I mean, that's the other thing. Our citizens to be heard right now is 5 minutes compared to the council's 3 minutes. However, if we are to have, I know staff will recommend that if we do that we knock the time down to 3 minutes if there are two. So we'll bring all of that back in terms of rules and regs that for the citizens to be heard, and then the commission can discuss and do what they would like to do on that. So
yeah, that would be appreciated. I think just as in terms of just putting some things out there, I think having if a person can comment twice, I think maybe we could probably consider lowering the time if they want to comment on both, whether it's 3 minutes, 2 minutes. I believe council does 2
3.
or 3.
3 minutes, yes.
3. I think that's something that we should consider, or if we keep the time, maybe a citizen would only be able to comment once. And that could be something that we could talk about. Yeah.
And we'll include that as part of the agenda item, different alternatives.
Yeah. And did you need a motion for this, or?
Yes.
Okay. Would anyone like to take a crack at the motion?
I'll make a motion to bring forward as a future agenda item discussion of adding a second citizens to be heard period to the standard agenda format of planning commission meetings.
I second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Planning Manager Hannum, could we please have a roll call?
Commissioner Utch,
Yes.
Commissioner Huey,
Yes.
Commissioner Lamb Julian,
Yes.
Commissioner Bender. Yes. Commissioner Martinez,
No.
Vice Chair Minez,
Yes.
Chair Sandoval.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-1.
Right. And are there I'll take any public comment on the city planner's report if there's any.
No comments.
Okay. And are there any commissioners that would like to report on anything? Yes, Commissioner Lamb Julian.
Is there an update on Kmart Safeway and is there a date proposed for Appian Village to open up?
Okay, first to Kmart. I know they've submitted, I think they've submitted the demo permit. I think we're reviewing that for the Kmart building. We haven't received any plans for the new apartment building, but we are reviewing. I think we're reviewing the demo permit right now. In terms of AP and 80, we haven't had any inquiries about AP and 80 from either potential applicants or the actual landowner. So that's still moving forward, still ongoing. And then the third one was sorry, it's been a long day. The Appian Village. My guess is that we're just getting ready to approve the temporary use permit for the sales office. I don't think they'll have occupancy of the first building probably till April, is what we're looking at, April, May-ish. So, but the buildings are getting the first 5 buildings actually out of the 26 are in progress. The ones that are bordering Canyon and Appian look like will probably be the first couple that will be open, but I think they won't be done until sometime in April, at least for this year. Oh, I'm sorry. Now, yeah, they're supposed to be open in April. So it's probably more like July. I'd say probably by the end of summer, beginning of fall. Sorry, that's right. They were supposed to be done by April 26, 27, but apologize. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other commissioners? Yes, Commissioner Martinez.
Thank you, Chair. My question is for Planning Manager Hannum. Recently, my dentist is right across the street from Appian Village, and I learned that when we did the restriping, we took away some of the parking available that was on the street, and as a result of that, it's creating parking issues for the dentist's office, where they just do not have enough space for the amount of staff, the dentists and doctors that are working in that building, as well as the patient. And this is before we even open Appian Village. I guess what I would propose before we open Appian Village, that we really work with the developer to ensure that the HOA includes language that would require anybody that's parking in those extra spaces, because we gave them the conditional, or as part of the waivers, that whatever we did, we were able to reduce the amount of parking spaces they would normally need. My concern is we've already made that concession, and we need to ensure that any parking in those few spaces, that they mandate that it's 24 hours or less, so that way those parking spots are available for the visitors of that area, because if we're already having issues with the medical offices, dentist offices around there, if we put in this building and there's more cars than there are parking spots, it's going to really impact those businesses. So if we can look into additional ways to help these medical offices and the potential residents that are going to be there address this, we might want to give some thought to that before we give them the full approval to open up that facility.
Well, you have to remember, they all have parking garages. So all the units have their own parking garages as well as additional guest spaces on site. So depending on that, we'll have to take a look at that. I mean, I don't know if there's anything that they actually parked it. The only thing that we kind of limited, I think, was guest parking, I think. I mean, we didn't limit any of their on-site parking. We'll have to take a look. We'll have to take a look at what's going on, because right now there wasn't. I don't know if it's not red striped down Appian in front of those offices right now, so they're open to the public.
We bike laned it.
Yeah, but you can park. There's nothing that says there's no parking. So at least to my knowledge, unless there's no parking signs that are up on Appian, which I don't think there are at this point. Plus, they park there for the school opening and closing. They're all parked there, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, at 8 o'clock. Well, not so much at 8, but the after school hours. So, that's kind of the. And to be honest with you, the dental offices, those offices, that was all part of the condominium project, which when they redid their map and you guys approved their map, they had enough parking based on the units that they were providing. So if they're, unless they're growing and they're getting more patients, that'd be awesome. But right now, I don't think there's no restriction, at least that I'm aware of, and I'll have to check with Public Works, but there's no restriction on on-street parking on Appian Way at this point that I'm aware of.
Okay. Well, and Dave, I have nothing but respect for you, but
yeah,
our household, we're one of the few folks in our neighborhood that uses both of the 2-car garage. Around us, there are so many folks that do not use their garage for their cars.
No, but they park on their driveway.
Their storage, right?
Yeah.
And so that's where, when we think about Appian Village, and yes, they are 2-car garages, but what happens if it's mom, dad, and a teenager that's now driving? We've got to make sure that we're doing everything we can to ensure that that concession that we gave them does not impact that community around them, because already we're seeing that it is impacting them.
Well, it's not, because there's no one living there yet. So whatever the impact is on the dental office is being created by the dental office. There is no, because right now Appian Village isn't there yet. So unless it's construction people parking across the street and they're parking their own cars across the street right now, that could be one thing. But yeah, we'll take a look. When the units go up and but that's that's kind of the that's kind of with the street waivers. Appian Village is, similar to Vista Woods, to Pinole Vista, to BCRE, to all the projects that we approved had a parking concession as part of that. So I hope that, and I'll have to check the HOAs, because that is governed by an HOA and CC&R, so they might be required to park in their garages. Similar HOAs, there are some HOAs that require that you have to park in your garage, but I'll check. In fact, I can email the developer to see if that's, developer parking garages. So yeah, so there would be at least room for 200 or 300 cars, 154 units, 2 parking spots, 300 cars. So plus the guest spaces, so that unit can accommodate probably about 450 cars. Just on site, not counting on that, because I'm sure there's probably going to be people that live along Appian Way that are going to want to park right in front of their unit instead of behind their unit. Who knows? But I do know that at this point, there are no parking restrictions on Appian Way that would allow for on-street parking, but I'm not positive. Do you know if Appian Way has restricted? I don't think it does right now.
We could look at the plan set again.
Yeah.
Double check with Public Works.
Yeah, that's what we'll do. I mean, we'll double check just to make sure, and we'll check the conditions just to make sure that there was no leakage, or they had to accommodate, or we'll take a look at that as well, so we can report back to the next meeting on that.
Thank you kindly. Thank you kindly, and that's all I had.
Okay, thanks.
Any other commissioners would like to report out on anything? All right. Any other that would move us on to our communications? Any communications? Yes, Vice Chair Menace.
So, as usual, I'm going to go over the communications I sent out to the email list so the public can have the same information that I'm giving to the subset of the public. So, basically, there was a general produce distribution this morning at 9. There's going to be the senior food distribution tomorrow from 10 to 11 a.m. at the Pinole Senior Center. Wednesday, it's going to be tax day, and the city's finance committee is going to be meeting at 5 p.m. in a hybrid format at Pinole City Hall. And on the 18th, there's going to be Earth Walk from 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. at Fernandez Park. And that's all my communications. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other commissioners would like to make any communications? All right, that'll take us. Our next meeting will be on April 27th, 2026 at 7 p.m. And with that, we will be adjourned. Thank you.